breakthrough that could save countless lives. It comes from the largest dinosaurs on the planet.
Oh my God.
Fortunately for us, all these species exist in one
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
The island's air was thick with humidity, salty wind, and an uneasy calm, as the sun began its descent beyond jagged volcanic peaks. A faint roar echoed in the distance, carried by gusts that stirred the palm fronds along abandoned walkways. It had been years since the world last witnessed dinosaurs roaming free, years since havoc, loss, and warnings had forced mankind to lock away the relics of prehistoric power. But nature doesn't forgive, and neither does time. In the shadows of overgrown cages, vines laid claim to cold metal. Concrete crumbled under creeping roots, and water pooled in once dry paddocks. The experiments of the past intended to control, and study lay forgotten, waiting. A small research team arrives under the guise of restoration and environmental preservation. Their mission to rehabilitate the island, catalog surviving fauna, and build a sanctuary that claims to respect the balance of life. Among them is a paleobiologist haunted by memories of destruction, a tech specialist eager to prove that new safeguards can prevent history from repeating, and a security operative whose cynical calm masks a dread born from knowing what lies. Beneath rusted fences, at first, the island greets them with deceptive serenity, birdsong drifting through the canopies, the distant crash of waves on cliffs, the warm glow of sunset on tranquil lagoons. The research team moves quietly, cataloging signs of surviving life, strange footprints half buried in mud, chaotic patterns of foliage pushed aside as if something large had brushed through, and the distant snapping of branches that suggest caution, not coincidence. The paleobiologist reverently records these, missing the tension in the shadows. The tech specialist sets up surveillance drones and motion sensors along old perimeters, confidently citing improved technology to guarantee safety. The security operative watches in silence. He knows better. He remembers the screams. He remembers what it took to contain them. The island is supposed to be calm now, but instinct, memory, and subtle signs indicate otherwise. As dusk bleeds into night, the wind picks up, carrying strange scents and distant roars that vibrate through the bones. Rangers hear echoes bouncing off cliffs, and the drones begin to malfunction, cameras fogging, signals cutting out. The tech specialist scrambles to reboot systems that once failed years before, blaming aging equipment and environmental interference. Meanwhile, the paleobiologist and the security operative discover something alarming. Tracks leading away from old enclosures toward central lab buildings long abandoned. The footprints are too large for any known escaped dinosaur species. They don't match any record in containment logs. They pause, breath held, realizing that someone or something has hidden in plain sight. The island, they realize, is not barren. It has never been truly silent. Suddenly a distant roar shakes the air, a sound filled with intelligence and fury. The security operative grabs a flashlight, hands clenched on the metal grip, his eyes scanning for movement. The forest responds with a low growl and shifting shadows. For a moment, nothing moves. And then a massive shape bursts through foliage, muscles rippling, claws scratching bark overhead. The night explodes into chaos as the team scatters, alarms screaming, flashlights rocking wild beams across dark trees. The paleobiologist freezes, fear, guilt, and adrenaline mixing in her eyes. The tech specialist fumbles with a drone control, trying to send a signal, but it cuts out again. A thunderous footstep crushes the undergrowth nearby. The creature roars again, loud, furious, alive. Whatever plans they had for sanctuary, for peace, shatter in the horror of the moment. By dawn, the group is scattered, injured, exhausted, but alive, barely. Some barricade inside the old visitor center as vines crack windows. Metal groans under pressure, and the forest seems to seep into every crack. The security operative rushes to patch wounds, his training kicking in despite the fear. The paleobiologist trembles but moves systematically, helping where she can, scanning every motion outside with desperate vigilance. The tech specialist, realizing his grip on technology is useless here, throws down gadgetry and picks up a rusted pipe, raw survival instinct replacing false security. Outside, the forest is eerily quiet, as if the island itself holds its breath, waiting. Over time, small alliances begin to form among the survivors, built not on trust but necessity. They pool memories of corridors, old maps, and broken fences, trying to map a path off the island while avoiding detection from whatever lurks beyond. The security operative becomes a de facto leader, silent, determined, scarred by memories but grounded. The paleobiologist becomes the moral center, insisting that they try to capture evidence, not kill blindly, believing that destruction may not be the only answer. The tech specialist, humbled by fear and failure, learns to move silent and low, unarmed but watchful. Each night brings new terror, footprints creeping closer, strange growls that echo in the dark, the snapping of branches when no wind blows. Scarred and uncertain, the survivors navigate through overgrown corridors of a once proud park, haunted by memories, broken by chaos, but alive, determined to find hope among ruins. As days pass, hope flickers when they find old supply rooms, dusty lockers filled with non-expired rations, water filtration units still intact, and faded keys that once opened service doors. Their escape plan begins to take shape around these small treasures. Reach the old control center, power up a radio tower, send a distress signal, and pray for rescue. But every step toward security feels like a step deeper into the island's dangerous secret. They realize the dinosaurs never died. Some survived, hidden in the wild, adapting. Worse, some had evolved, stronger, faster, smarter. The sanctuary plan didn't just fail, it backfired. The creatures growing in the shadows are not relics of the past, but horrors of a future no one predicted. In one desperate push, they decide to reach the central lab, hoping to locate emergency flares, activate old security protocols, or find maps showing helicopter landing zones. The journey is fraught. Passages blocked by fallen trees, waterlogged tunnels, collapsed walkways over swamps, and the oppressive feeling of being hunted. Each night, the sounds of thunderous breathing draw closer, and the survivors restrict their movement. The forest seems to shift to defend itself, vines wrapping around entrances, animals screeching warnings, and the ground trembling under hidden footsteps. Their determination remains, though fear scratches at their minds constantly. Finally, under a full moon, they reach the lab. Broken glass litters the floor. Jagged metal wires hang from the ceiling like grotesque vines, and the air smells of DMP stone and old chemicals. They split tasks. The paleobiologist searches for maps and distress equipment. The security operative checks for structural weaknesses. The tech specialist works on powering up old generators. Everything feels fragile, as if a single noise could bring down the building or draw the beasts in. Then, cameras flicker, ancient security monitors crack to life for a split second before smoking out. The island responds, an alarm blares. Deep underground, echoing across the forest. The creatures, alerted, roar back. That signal, meant to guide rescue, becomes their final trap. Chaos erupts as the beasts charge from shadowed hallways into the lab. Glass shatters, metal beams groan, and the survivors grab whatever they can, rods, pipes, anything heavy. The security operative fights with brutal determination. The paleobiologist protects the injured. The tech specialist tries to keep the generator running. The beasts move fast, intelligent, using coordinated attacks that reveal an evolution born of desperation and survival. The survivors exchange terrified glances. They fight not just for escape, but for the right to leave alive. In a moment of sacrifice, one of the survivors locks a heavy door behind them, sacrificing themselves to buy time. The security operative and the paleobiologist drag the wounded to a back exit leading to a service elevator shaft. It creaks, shakes, and fights them like a living thing. With adrenaline pushing through pain and fear, they descend into darkness, using faded emergency lights to guide them. Behind them, roars of anger echo as the lab collapses, as if the island itself is devouring its betrayers. They emerge into a narrow tunnel, cramped and damp, water dripping from the ceiling, the air stale and heavy. The elevator shaft leads to old maintenance paths entwined with overgrowth and decay. Their steps are slow, heavy, every sound amplified. In the silence, they follow old signage. Duck, emergency exit. Hope flickers again. The tunnel opens onto a small dock by a lagoon, water black under moonlight. A battered boat floats, chains rusted, motor silent. The survivors scramble. Aboard, pushing off from the shore silently, their breaths shallow, hearts pounding, they glide through water under a sky full of stars, unaware of what watches them from the darkness. Behind them, distant roars fade into the night, replaced by the gentle splash of oars. They leave the island, leaving behind its twisted ecosystems, the ruins of ambition, and the monstrous creatures born of hubris. When they finally reach the mainland, relief washes over them in heavy waves. The air smells different, clean, familiar, human. Their bodies shake from exhaustion, their minds numb from terror and loss. The world they return to seems foreign, as if time moved differently on the island. Memories of screams, roars, collapsing, metal and shadows chasing them haunt each breath. But they survived.